My name is Joey Catalano, for those that have just joined in. I have a little bit over 7 years of experience in the restaurant sphere, specifically working in a freestanding restaurant complex, all the way up into the managerial role, overseeing larger teams. I've been with GoZone for about 2 years now. Crazy to think how time flies. It's something that's important to me. It's really working with companies, specifically in the hospitality sphere, and helping them find solutions to improve not only their operational components, but really helping to take some of that pressure off of owners, GMs, so they can focus on the more important components in the restaurant world.
Excellent. Well, my name is Eric Strom, which you may have already heard. I have over 20 years hospitality management experience from hotels, restaurants, catering, casinos, any variety of settings. Also 6 years in higher education and over 5 years in retail management, from owning my own retail store, owning my own restaurant, up to managing a big box store.
He's done a little bit of everything, there. So to outline our agenda here, just to kind of give a quick couple points here. During the webinar, we're going to take a look at the different types of restaurant analytics. We're going to look at ways on how to avoid data overload. We're going to then take a look on how to use those analytics to optimize email marketing and helping to build loyalty, as well as how to apply those analytics to restaurant operations. So yeah, what are the different types of restaurant analytics?
Well, we've got them kind of laid out here, obviously, the operational analytics, traffic analytics, loyalty, and marketing analytics. If we go to the next slide, we'll kind of outline these for us. The operational analytics involve forecasts, cash register receipts, scheduling and staffing, and the age-old people counter. If you think about a lot of this, forecast is one of the early modes of analytics, from how many steaks we're going to need for today, how many people we're going to have to schedule on the floor, what sort of cash we're going to need for making change, all the way on up to the different types of analytics we're using today.
You got it. And then what I always find interesting is the people counter. I love this. I love sharing this story with different clients of ours. Is on the people counting piece. Back in 2019, I talked to a very large, highly trafficked venue up in the New Jersey area, and he told me that during peak times, whether it be on weekends or holidays, that they would actually have somebody sit there at the very front of their restaurant with a clipboard and literally count every hour on the hour as to how many people are in the restaurant. On top of that, then take that same clipboard and go around and try to gather information on those guests during that same time, which is, in my opinion, a very intrusive way of collecting data.
And how accurate.
Yeah.
Somebody or twice.
And if someone goes to the restroom, it's all over. It's all over. Here's some neat things here on feedback analytics. And what are some feedback analytics?
So think about it. The old paper and clipboard that you
the
fishbowl, drop in the business card, win a free lunch sort of thing. Comment cards, surveys, whether they're online or the old-fashioned paper surveys, or a lot of the fast food restaurants you'll see the surveys in the back of their cash register receipts. These are all different ways that you can get feedback on your operations.
And there's a lot of ways that people that I speak with, whether it be new clients or clients that have been with us for a year, that they don't realize the ways that you can leverage our tools that are built into the GoZone platform to take what's going with these dated, quote unquote, dated practices, if you will, and really bring it into the modern day with certain technology. So, for example, on the comment card piece, you can create triggered emails to go out through our system that was after a certain amount of visits, or even after every single visit, to say, hey, we'd love to hear how we're doing. Click on one of these stars. 5 stars will send you straight to like a TripAdvisor, or nowadays Google reviews is a really big one. If it's 4 stars or less, it can go open an email straight to the GM or owner to say, hey, email us about us. We want to hear about it. So you can be more proactive on that feedback rather than reactive. Go online to a 1-star review on like the Google page or your Yelp page to say, hey, I had the worst experience. Eric, my server was terrible. You can get ahead of the curve there.
Much more proactive. If you're that guest filling that out, had a bad experience, to hear directly from the owner, the manager, hi, my name is Eric. how can I make this right, that sort of thing, and you have that opportunity. Of course, they can still make the Google review, and you want them to.
Mm-hmm.
You want the opportunity to make it right.
You want to make it right while it's still fresh within that time frame there. Another fun piece that you can leverage with our platform is the guest analytics piece. So this really is good for all different businesses of shapes and sizes, but the impact is really seen in your very, very large atmospheres. So you're talking your 3-story, several tiers, bars, maybe a massive restaurant in a touristy area, which can leverage our analytics platform to showcase what your peak times are, to let you understand who's coming in, even if they're not connecting to the Wi-Fi. Yeah, and also to understand what their dwell time is, so how long they're coming in there, and even if they ultimately do connect, but even if they don't connect, are they spending a minute there? Are they spending 5 minutes? Are they spending 15 plus minutes in there?
And again, guest analytics are something that's been around for a long time. We've always wanted to know what our peak times are. And you would kind of know if you ran the restaurant. Obviously, Friday and Saturday nights are busy times. Mother's Day is the busiest day of the year. That's no. But how much busier? Can we put quantitative measures there to find out? You know, is it twice as busy? Do I need twice the staff or only 2 extra people? And you know, how often am I turning the tables? This is a very specific time from the time that phone or that MAC address comes into the restaurant to the time they leave. It's a very specific quantitative number.
And a very easy way too that you can leverage our marketing for Wi-Fi platform is taking a look at who is connecting, and ultimately using that as a tool to help understand what your traffic looks like. We actually work with a smaller tea shop out in California who they don't have a massive budget for maybe a big POS system or a labor scheduling tool. So what she ended up doing was saying, hey, Joey, I was using who was connecting during a period of time and understanding what the trends were with them. And I noticed that I was able to shave anywhere between 5 to 10 labor hours off of my schedule, which if you start to think it, as your labor costs start to go up in some locations, 10 upwards of 15, even $18 an hour for a regular waiter or wait staff, depending on where you're at, that can save companies hundreds of dollars in a way that the platform wasn't necessarily even intended for.
It can simply improve operations if they move that labor elsewhere where it's needed more to improve the guest experience.
Absolutely. Another key piece is the marketing analytics.
This is the best.
This is the best. I get the biggest smile on my face when I talk about this here, because this is really where the platform, where our tools shine, and where for your marketing agencies some that are listening with us, or maybe some of your restaurateurs that are listening, this is that data you really want. In the traditional past, with the comment cards, we talked about the fishbowl. You can get maybe 1 or 2 of these line items, and then the rest is just kind of gone into the void. With platforms like ours, you have the ability to now passively collect this information without being necessarily intrusive and getting in those guests' way. When those guests do go to connect, we're collecting that information that they have already allowed to be shared through that social media outlet. One thing that I love about our platform and the GoZone name and brand is that since day one, our CEO, Todd Myers, has said all the data that is collected will always remain the property of the clients of ours. We have never played a role in reselling that data or doing anything questionable with it. And that's been a pride point for ours, because that's a really big deal as data privacy laws. CCPA out in California is taken into effect January 1st. CASA laws in Canada, and there's several other states nationwide that are slowly starting to roll out data privacy laws like that.
The other thing I think that's important about this is when you're collecting the information. On the front end, when they're sitting down, the guest is ready to use their phone, you're asking them to provide an email address. They realize they're getting a quality service. You're providing the internet service, and they're giving you this information exchange. But when you're following up, that email is going to them typically at home or wherever they're checking the email. So it's a little less invasive, and they control the timing of that experience.
And that's very, very key there. Let's say you have all this data. So all this data that's collected, maybe you have an omnichannel marketing solution. You have the GoZone. You have a MailChimp. Maybe you even have another way that you're aggregating data. What do you do when you have all this data, and how do you avoid that data overload?
Well, first, some of the different methods, point of sale systems, web forms, if you're doing any marketing events, or even it's an event in your restaurant, you're collecting more information, and of course the guest Wi-Fi. But I think the thing that's most important is choose what matters to you. What are you interested in looking at? Because there's just too much information coming in. You need to know what to look at. Those are your key performance indicators or KPIs. There's an old expression that says, inspect what you expect. So if you're measuring food costs, labor costs, whatever it is that you're measuring, have a KPI for that. And so you're looking at that specific data.
Yeah, and the biggest piece too when it comes to that data is, especially for my GMs and my owners of the restaurants that are listening to us today, is sharing responsibility and delegating. I know that this is sometimes can be a very hard thing to some people, but you'd be surprised at the breath of fresh air that you can give yourself when you sometimes delegate out some of these small items. Now, I'm not saying give your labor budget and give that KPI out to your new assistant manager who just started. I'm saying maybe start small. One of the things for us, in the old days, for me in my restaurant days, was a line item that we had was our towel usage, and we had a very high money that was going to towels. And I was like, well, you know what? Let me give this to one of our assistant managers to have her take a look at it and champion this to find a way to cut back on that. And use the delegation and sharing the responsibility of the data that you have. Use that as a way to help maybe bring up and train up the next generation of leaders in your company.
You have more sets of eyes on different things. And if one of those points goes out of whack, they can bring it to your attention.
And then lastly is outsourcing the rest. Now, we want to preface this with saying that you might not always be able to outsource everything you want to. Which is funny because Eric has shared a story about how, well, I'll let you share the story.
Well, it was many years ago, but I worked in a hotel with over 20 stores. And for whatever reason, it came out of the history of the property. It was a practice for two of the executives to actually take on the responsibility of pest control. So part of, and again, it was facilities management and housekeeping, but nonetheless, they were tasked with every week providing pest control services in the property and a couple times a year doing more extensive services. But if you look at this and look at the added liability with the toxins and the chemicals used and the amount of time they're spending away from their primary duties and their expertise, there's some real hidden costs here. So why not outsource that? Somebody who's licensed and practiced and more efficient at it.
Absolutely.
Which is us too.
Yeah.
With GoZone, we do have professional services here. So if you're running your restaurant and you don't have a marketing team, you can come to us and rely on our expertise and our marketing time to help create some of those campaigns for you.
I always like to say with clients of ours, you can do it yourself, and that's awesome. Or we can do it for you to take one less thing off of your hands.
Absolutely. We just provide a tool.
Now, the toolkit that is in there are many tools that are in that toolkit. Now, what are some of those tools?
Well, we have some listed here. Capture the email, social media engagement, which includes the Facebook like, SMS messaging, and the triggered emails.
And what is neat is these are all, while there are 5 different bullet points there, this is very powerful data to help you have that intimate one-to-one relationship with your guests. So it's not so much in the days of sending the flyers out and hoping the one out of every 100 come back with those flyers. Those triggered emails give you the ability to make that emotional connection with that guest, and then even leverage the coupon piece too that is built in to maybe do a little surprise and delight, if you will, and just catch them off guard. Say, hey, you've been over to Eric's Seafood House here 5 different times. Here's a coupon. Bring this in for a free glass of wine or a free drink on your next visit. Now, what is interesting, and I might get in trouble for this, but there is one bullet point that's not up there that is soon to be released, and you all heard it first here. The next bullet point to be released for GoZone Wi-Fi will be our email blast option. This is a feature that came from many different restaurants, just like some of those that are listening that said, you know what, hey Joey, I want the all-in-one. I want to be able to not only send out those triggered emails, but I want to send out my newsletter blast to everyone. Well, we heard you, and it is coming more sooner than later. So hang tight, and it will be here before you know it.
So remember, we've always had the ability to capture the emails. And we did with GoZone. You could export them or integrate them with another CRM that you're already using.
Yeah.
The key difference here is that you actually be able to send those email blasts from within our platform.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, the email blasts go to everyone on your email list. It's a mass mailing or emailing,
Mm-hmm.
where those triggered emails that Joey had mentioned are one-on-one, triggered by a guest from you to your guest at a certain triggered event.
Absolutely. And don't worry, for the many of you who have your own third party, your HubSpot, your ActiveCampaign, you can keep that. No one's forcing you into ours. You keep that. Let us use us for that data aggregation piece, and you keep your third party platform that you like.
That's right. You do it in-house or outsource, but
it's there if you want to use it. And then finally here we have analytics and operations. And so Eric, what are some of these?
Well, and we've always used analytics for scheduling. If you think about it, you have more servers on your Friday and Saturday night because you expect more business. Using a Wi-Fi system as GoZone will help give you more specifics and more measurable details, so you know, again, is it twice as busy, is it half as busy, or is it just a busy day? Also for promotions, to find out when you should have promotion. When is your slowest time? Do you have your industry night on Tuesday because that's a slow night? Is there a special event? Or how successful it is? How much business did I have on Tuesday nights before versus how much business do I have now? Is the dwell time longer? Are guests staying longer? Is the ticket average going up? I already mentioned dwell time, so I'll skip over to dwell time. How long are they there? Is their table turn 60 minutes, 40 minutes? How long is that table turn? But with ours, you're measuring the exact time that they're in the facility, including any wait times, not just the time between tickets.
And then sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be numerical data that's collected. For example, you have our form builder. Now, what a lot of users of GoZone may sometimes forget is you can use us to pre-authenticate during the pre-authentication phase, give out survey questions towards your users. One of my favorite stories of this is Chris, who is the owner of Anytime Fitness right around the corner here in St. Pete. Him and his team, they leveraged our form builder to actually survey his gym members as to what type of classes they wanted and the type of schedule they wanted for those classes. And he actually helped use that data to revamp his entire schedule to be a little bit more friendly towards his gym members. And he's seen great success with that. And that's just simply by passively asking them, say, hey, when would you like to see this CrossFit class? When would you like to do your yoga? And it's just really helping to get a better gauge on your guests in a way that's not just sitting there trying to flag them as they're in or out on their evening workout.
Well, the thing about analytics, it may not always be obvious what direction you should take a business in based on the metric. For example, we have a business that has multiple locations, and one of them was complaining, look at the numbers, we hardly do any business between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, yet we're open till 11 o'clock. Well, on the one hand, you could close, you could shut down early because you have less business. But the operator here said, it's important to me that all of my locations, a guest just knows we're open till 11 o'clock. If they that's our expectation, they go to this one location that's closed because they don't have as much business, it may have a negative impact on them returning. So you have to use the analytics, in conjunction with your good business sense. In this case, they opted to leave all the restaurants open at the same time, and then they can use that hour in this one location for their, what's your favorite in the restaurant business? The deep cleaning.
The deep cleaning time.
Or for any other task you need to touch on.
Don't miss the deep cleaning. And then just kind of in summary here with the GoZone Wi-Fi solution, there is a whole host of different ways that you can leverage us, whether it be through that form builder, whether it be through the understanding who's connecting, whether it be taking that data and marketing it through our platform or marketing it through your third-party platform and just simply using us to build that for you. One thing I always love saying is our platform is like a toolbox. And at different times, you're going to want to leverage different tools, and certain companies might just want to put a couple of tools out of the box, and certain companies just want to dump it out and play with everything. We're not here to judge. And so that actually brings us to the close here. If you want to learn more, if you want to learn more, there's our contact information. If you enjoyed today's webinar, I'm Joey and this is Eric. If you didn't, my name is Todd and this is Wayne to the left of me. There's our contact information. So on behalf of GoZone,
we're sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but glad you stuck with us. Hopefully we'll look We'll get to hear from you. Email, give us a call.
Yeah. Thanks again, everyone, and have a good rest of your day. Bye now.